Okay, I am live, and this is completely unrehearsed, so pardon me if I have any snafus along the way. I do want to talk a little bit about the process of applying to CFPs, so I want you from, and mainly this is for people who want to speak, who've already decided that they want to speak for whatever benefit that they may apply. I'm not going to try and convince you to speak. But generally, I find that people want advice, they want pointers, they want review of their applications, but then no one's actually like seen the process behind it. I've applied and got accepted at a few conferences, and I figured I would just show my process because I was doing it, and I was just like, why? I've never seen a video of anyone do it. Yeah, I also highly recommend Josh to hit up Josh for advice as well. He's got a really good blog post, Josh conference something. So he talked about this for his React Valley talk, and I quite recommend this process. But specifically, I want to talk about the CFP process. And so first of all, you probably should have some experience speaking at a meetup, just because speaking at a conference from scratch for the first time is pretty intimidating. And you want to record those sessions so that you have something to apply with, and then you sort of build it up. So that's the first thing. The second thing you want to do is also to have a funnel of events that you want to apply to. So this is the Slack that I have, and I just have a channel with just myself. And anytime I hear about a conference that I want to apply to, I'll fill in, I'll just throw some links in there and stuff. These are not everything that I've applied to. Stuff that I have applied to, I actually delete, so that I keep a clear to-do list. So this is me abusing Slack as a to-do list, basically. But you can use whatever to-do list functionality that you like. So two ways to get good sources of CFPs are the mods tech CFP account. They'll sort of tweet stuff, and so you just like kind of keep aware of like what's going on. This is definitely not comprehensive, and this is a general tech sort of web dev feed. And the other one is Tech Daily CFP. I just found this one today, but basically, people maintain this stuff, and you can do your best to follow. But honestly, like the best way is to keep an eye out for conferences that you really, really care about. Like, if your thing is React, be on top of the React conference page, and just like anywhere that your community is at, because you're serving a community. You're not speaking just for the sake of speaking. You're serving a community that is there to listen to you, right? So it's best to just be on top of like your particular domain, whatever it is. And then we get to the actual sort of like command center. All right. So and then the example for this that we're going to be using is React India. It's in Goa, which is incredible, and then it's got a lot of cool speakers already. So my chances of getting into this is very low because it seems like they've pretty much filled up. But I just wanted to show you my process anyway. Okay, so you come to the site, you know that there's CFP still open, so you're like, all right, submit my talk, and blah blah blah. Call for papers until May 25th. If you do a lot of CFPs, you want to keep a deadline so you don't miss deadlines. But generally, I haven't found it to be a problem. You just apply, and people will remind you that the CFPs are coming up, and you just fill it in. And then you fill out your name, blah blah blah, whatever. And then we get to this stuff, right? So this is where you might get stuck, like. Okay, call for papers, and then you're like, all right, these are all interesting topics. I could probably come up with a talk for something like this. Again, that's kind of talk-driven development. If you already have something cool, then just use that, and don't don't wait until you're here to to come up with the talk, because staring at a blank page like this will not generate very interesting titles and talk descriptions and stuff. But basically, what you want to do, right? And so I've been doing this for a year. Basically, what you want to do is build up a whole category, a whole sort of inventory of talks. So here I have all my pending talks. You can see all the descriptions I've ever written for every single talk. These are talks that I have not given. And so every time I apply, right, I'll come up with like 3 to 4 to 5 different talk ideas, and I'll write it out. And then it'll be reusable. And these talk ideas can come from anything and everything that I'm doing that I find really interesting that I want to tell my friends about. So this, for example, this is a blog post that I did for my friend James Nelson that got a lot of views. So I know that people are interested in this topic, time travel. It sounds cool. It sounds like a title that you would go for in a session, right? And that's a talk. I don't know if it'll ever be accepted because it's a small one, but I can definitely flesh it out because I have more ideas than that. This one is what humans can learn from machine learning. I like that. I like that title. I would go for a talk with that title alone, right? And this one is something I've been working on for a longer time. So this one I spent like, I don't know, 2 days, right? This one I've been spending maybe a couple of weeks just like fleshing out like the content because I've been doing some machine learning courses on the side. And then there's like Jamstack talks, there's GraphQL talks. These are all topics I'm super interested in, and I've done a little bit of work. And you're always going to be like, not always going to be fully fleshed out before you apply for your talk, but you have an idea of what you want to talk about. You can definitely change that as you go into it. I do happen to have a job where I'm encouraged to do talks about the Jamstack, and so naturally I find that it's very easy for me to do Jamstack talks. But it is perceived to be associated with my company, Netlify. So it may be harder to get these talks accepted versus sort of more general interest talks, right? So you just have to weigh the sort of pros and cons of that. I moderate r/React.js, so I have a talk about that. This has not been accepted anywhere else. I wrote a blog post. Again, like I think if you have indications of interest, like publishing a blog post on CSS tricks and then having good feedback on that from Chris Coyer and people like that, that's really, really helpful for like, okay, I've written this content. Not everyone in the world has seen it. Everyone in the world should see it. So that becomes a talk. So that becomes, yeah, I'm just gonna, all right. So that's, ooh, did I? Okay, I think I may have, all right. Whatever. I just want to show you the mechanics, right? Like this is not about my talk itself, but like I just give you the idea to have a list to keep going back to, because you will have the majority of your talks not accepted, but sometimes it could just be because you submitted multiple times and then one of them were accepted, but the other ones were just as good. They just didn't get accepted at the time. So you can resubmit it. It's fine. So here I'm going to submit that Star Apps talk, right? So I just copy and paste the talk title, short summary of the talk, like everything is there. I'm not taking any, like I'm reusing a former application that I had, right? Like I'm not saying like this is the best. Like probably you should try and customize it. If you know who's on the organizing committee, you can try and cater to their interests. This is a first conference, so there's no info to go on. But if the conference has happened before, you might want to go check out their former videos, so you know the audience, you know what topics they've been interested in the past. You don't have to stick to that, but it can help you give more information about what they want. Custom talk length, we can do 30. And then just like basic info you should have at your fingertips. This should not take you any time at all, right? So I have a page that just has my bio, right? So I have, if they want a picture of me, done, right? High quality picture, company name or title, Netlify, DX engineer, Swix. Cover metric expenses, that really depends. Depends on whether can talk about the company in my Yes, and then medium and raw. Okay, so um, that was an easy CFP. They didn't ask for a bunch of other stuff, so maybe that wasn't okay. But anyway, so it's better to have um, a bio ready to go. Sometimes they ask you for a bio. Sometimes they ask you for your Twitter and GitHub. Mine are very similar, so I don't have to memorize that. These are two pictures. And then you have prior talks, so you just have them at the ready. You just copy and paste, and that's about it. Like, obviously, sometimes like that's my first submission for React Native, right? I'll submit two others, and then I'll call it a day because you don't want to spam that too much. But I think three is like the unofficial, like that's on the borderline of you're really enthusiastic, you really want to speak, but not spamming. Um, and so I'll like try to send in something that I've fleshed out before just to try to reuse former work, and I'll try and think of like two other talks that like would be good for this audience. Fortunately, this is a React audience, so like I have a lot of stuff good to go for that. Yeah, that's about it. And then just keep applying. What's funny is that most of the time, I just saw this talk by Corey House, um, this guy. He's got a lot of like sort of personal development wisdom and stuff. But he did this really interesting survey where like he was like, all right, who here has given a talk, and then who here has applied to speak, and then people raised their hands, and then he said, who here has given a talk, and pretty much the same people raised their hands, which means that like sooner or later you'll get accepted. It just depends on like your luck, your how well you're writing your proposal. There really isn't that much to it, right? So a lot of work still continues after you're accepted, but you don't have to like flesh out every single minute of the talk just for the CFP, right? This is just like an indication of interest. So have that list, and then have the talks to go, have your bio stuff at the ready, so it's easier for you to apply, and then just keep applying, and you build up the talk experience until the point where you start getting invited instead of having to apply. That's about it. If you have any other tips, let me know, and cheers.